I was about to remind you this.
And then let me make you on sister page. Let me just do that now. I don't have to worry about doing it later. Oh, she's not on yet. Okay. All right.
Yes, class.
Oh, okay. Okay. So brother, that was Brother Javon.
Yes.
Can you do the masters in the chat today? Do you mind?
No problem.
All right, so I'll make you hostess.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, make the dream work. All right, let's get it.
All right. Attention prayer, everyone. Surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to him who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheist. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and of this I am commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thine servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess of my faults. Please grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn away the evil and the indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful. Surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst forever. And O Allah, bless Muhammad and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst forever. Ameen.
Ameen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I fixed up my computer.
Pleasure.
Acting up over here. All right, I'm sorry, just got sidetracked. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we thank him for his prophets and their scriptures. We thank him for Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. In this dispense, oh, Sister Nazaria looks so pretty. I'm sorry. In this dispensation of time, I bear witness that Allah, God, intervened in our affairs and the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is his divine messenger. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the extension of God's mercy and grace, the man of the hour, and the national representative to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I would like to greet us all in the greeting words of peace that we say in an Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, ma'am.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you. And that simply just means peace be unto you. And the return greeting, which you heard the believers say, wa alaikum salam, just means peace be unto you as well. So it's a prayer that we give to one another, and it is open for everyone. It's just like when you say in the streets, when you say peace, it's the same thing. They got it from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We make up everything. So, all right. So we are in our book, Fall of America, The Fall of America. We are on page 262. 252. 252? Huh?
In which book? The Fall of America,
yeah.
or the Fall of America?
The fall. It's the fall. The Fall of America. We're on page. No, we're on page 248 because today's Thursday. Right? We're on 248. That's what I'm looking in the thing, right? In the curriculum.
I'm checking.
Oh yeah, we gotta be on 248 because we about done with this book. So 248 is when ye shall see all these things.
I'm on 252.
252? Okay. The judgment nears. All righty. So if you are able to read, please put reader in thine chat, that means you are agreeing to read basically a chapter, which is about 2 to 3 pages. Once you finish reading, we will open up the floor for discussion. If you have any comments or questions on what was read, please put master in the chat. You will be called upon to speak in the order you received. So again, I'm gonna put reader in the chat if you're able to read. We're in the I think somebody asked what book we're in. We're in the Fall of America. And if you are, once we complete a chapter, we do open up the floor for about 10 minutes, and you can put master in the chat, and Brother Javon will call on you. Do your best to cite the source when quoting the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, anybody for that matter. Actually, this allows us to go into further studying of what you said, just like English class. We will open up the floor for about 10 minutes per reading. When you do your master, you have approximately 1 minute to speak. When your minute is up, you will see a clock in the chat. Thank you, Sister Rachel. That clock right there comes up at your 1 minute mark. It comes up pretty fast. So just, be mindful of looking at the of your phone or computer while you are speaking. When you reach the 1.5 minute mark, Sister Rachel, who put the comment in there, will then come off of mute, and she will let you know to please wrap up your comments to allow other participants to participate. Sister Rachel, can you please give the believers the greetings and let them know what you will say?
Yes, ma'am. Your spirits are high. Assalamu alaikum, family. I will be saying time.
Very, very good. Now, like we said before, sometimes when we are speaking, we are in the spirit and we don't really hear Sister Rachel say time. So Sister Rachel, just have a little baritone. You only have, once you see that clock in the chat, you only got 30 seconds. So, just kind of be mindful of what that 30 seconds looks like in your mind. So when you hear somebody come off mute, because for the most part, nobody ever comes off mute. So when you hear somebody come off mute, just know that was somebody telling you time. All right, so code of conduct, please be respectful of others' questions and thoughts. No profanity. Please be presentable when on camera. Come ready to learn, meaning please have your hearts and minds and ears open, and be able to take notes as well. So have a pen and a paper, something on hand. And if you're an FBI agent, you could go, or you could just stay and just tell your people that we're doing the Lord's work. All right, so we are on page 252. I believe a Sister Alexis had her hand up. Sister Alexis, was a question or something you had? I saw a hand up.
Yes, I'm new to the group, so I just wanted to know what chapter that page was in.
Oh, this is chapter 61.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. All right, Brother Javon, do we have any readers?
I didn't see anybody.
Okay. Somebody said they'll go.
I will be a reader as well. I'll put it in the chat. Okay,
cool beans. Oh, our class will be slightly short today as far as the reading in the book, because as y'all saw in the post, we have a special guest, Sister Zewdy, on her testimony of overcoming atheism and becoming a stone cold Muslim MGT in the Nation of Islam. So we're gonna wrap it up around like 7 o'clock to allow her to speak, and then we'll go into what we always do: the C1, the Twitter, the Quran, da da da. Oh, that reminds me of what Rosa, if you want to hear what you put underneath my picture. All right, so let's go into the reading.
I'm putting it on screen too. I'm just scrolling to chapter 61.
Okay, so if you don't have the book, you can also look at it on the screen. Brother Demetrius will be screen sharing. Perfect. Do you want me to wait until?
Yeah, because I'm right there. Okay, here we go. I got it.
Sister Alexis, you could begin reading.
Okay. So chapter 61, the judgment nears. And we're reading the full chapter, correct? Because I also heard something about 30 seconds. The timer comes when we have 30 seconds.
Oh, no. The timer was for like when we open up the floor for discussion, and we have like a minute and a half to like speak. Yeah. But yeah, you're going to read the whole chapter.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
1, everywhere that we look and everything that we think about marks the end of this world. There never was a time in the history of the United States of America that the president goes out to try to visit the heads of all of the nations that seem to be some ways equal. Number 2, he is like a criminal who has committed a crime and he hopes for mercy from those whom he has committed the crime against. We
So you
cannot
don't have to
escape.
read the what you call it, because those is just breaking down paragraphs, I think. So you don't have to read the numbers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So is it the according to radio and television?
Huh?
Am I reading the right? I have the PDF version, so I'm making sure I'm looking at the right thing.
No, you still good. You just don't have to read the number. Like you don't have to say like number 1 or 2 or anything.
Oh,
You can just right through it. Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Bear with me. I'm going to get it together. Okay. They show no mercy. Okay, so I'll go back to the second one. He is like a criminal who has committed a crime, and he hopes for mercy from those whom he has committed the crime against. We cannot escape our doom when it comes. Teaches the Holy Quran and the Bible. They show no mercy at all to the Black slave. They treated the Black slave worse than any human being has ever been treated. They continue to do so in the face of divine judgment. They remind you of the parable of the rich man and the poor man. As long as the rich man enjoyed luxury, he cared nothing about luxury for his slave, Lazarus. Then at last, the rich man fell into poverty and he was unable to get up even for himself. The Bible says of the poor Black slave that none helped him. Now the rich man gets in the place of his once slave. The rich man can witness how it feels to be a poor man. The parable says, at last the rich man died, and in hell he lifted up his eyes. He saw his slave in the bosom of Abraham, in the heaven that the slave had been promised that he would get into. It was such a beautiful heaven that the poor slave was lolling around in. The rich man cried out to the slave to share hell with him. He asked the slave to bring him a drop of water in hell. He knew that if the slave tried to go to hell with a drop of water, the slave would never get to heaven. The rich man would be happy if he received a drop of water to ease his pain and torment. But if the slave cannot come to him with a drop of water, then go to some of the rich man's brothers, who the rich man knew were bound to get a taste of the same hell that the rich man was in. The rich man said, Father Abraham, if you would not let Lazarus come to me, then send him to my brothers. In words to say, they are bound to get hell too. So I say to you, the time is not far off. The parable is now in the working. I say to you, my Black brother Lazarus, try to stay in the bosom of Abraham, because no man came to us, as the Bible teaches us. No man came to the poor Lazarus, lost or found. No one aided him. I have been begging to help to borrow money, saying that we would give the extreme interest. No one has come to our aid yet. The white man has tried to prevent everyone who would give us a little help. So Allah came to help us from ourselves. May Allah bless us to do his will and bless us to please him, for Allah is the only help that we have. I do not care what interest we offered. No one wanted to loan us. They know that we are well worth the loan, but they do not want us to be helped. They figure we going too fast as it is. But oh rich man, your day has come. Your fall has come and no one will help you. They do not want to come near. They see divine destruction licking its tongue about you on all sides. They do not want to get near you. Europe is standing afar and will not come near. She does not want anything of you. Europe sees your doom and she does not want any herself. Woe to the white slave master. In hell, he lifted up his eyes.
Thank you. Very good. All right. So do we want to go to, hey, this is the end of the book. The next chapter is the end of the book. So do we just want to go to chapter 62 and just finish off the book before we open up discussion?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, no, I'm talking to the congregation, just
Sorry.
everybody.
Question really quickly. Is this a book that I would read from beginning to end? Because again, this is my first day, but I'm definitely intrigued already.
Yeah, so you could actually, you have the PDF, right?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
So you could either read the PDF beginning to end, or you could go to the finalcallstore.noi.org and get the actual hard copy and read it beginning to end.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you guys have these meetings every Thursday?
Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So every Tuesday, we do the How to Eat to Live book by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're about to finish that book as well. So that's book How to Eat to Live, book 1. And then probably next week or the week after, we'll go into How to Eat to Live, book part 2. And then Thursdays and Saturdays we're in the Fall of America, but we're about to finish this today. So next class will be in the book called Our Savior Has Arrived. Brother Lakeem is actually holding it up. Let me pin him real quick. Hold on.
Thank you. And it's at the same time?
Yep, same time, every time. Brother Lakeem, keep it
Awesome.
held up because I can't.
I did
All
it.
right. Well, dang. Okay. Since you want to be so fast, Brother Lakeem is holding up the Our Savior Has Arrived book. So that would be our next book. And if somebody could put the link to the Final Call store in the chat, that'll be great. So everybody can get their book and be ready for next week. All righty. So do we want to go to chapter 62? Just finish it off, or do you want to discuss and then go to 62?
Unless nobody has any points or questions.
There is some points on the curriculum. I just wanted to, we want to do all at one time. And I think if somebody just put the link in the bio, I think, not the bio, the link in the chat, I think it's the finalcallstore.noi.org now. I think they changed it from the store.finalcall.com.
Apparently both of them work.
Okay, well, hey,
Yeah.
praise be to Allah. Allah is good and able all the time. Okay, so let's go into discussion. I see somebody putting a curriculum for Bible, Matthew 2016. If somebody has their Bible and wants to read Matthew 2016, where it says the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Is that the fullness of the Bible scripture, or is there more into it? And then we do have a question as well, but I wanted us to get to the Bible verse first, if we want to.
You said chapter 20, verse 16?
Yes, sir.
I can read it real quick.
Go ahead.
All right. So it says right here. So, and this is Jesus talking, by the way. So it says, so the last shall be first and the first last, for many be called, but few chosen.
Oh, okay. That goes perfect with what the sister just raised for us in the book as well. And if for those of y'all who don't know, this book was published in 1973, so we could see how relevant it is right now. Like he was actually speaking everything into existence that we're dealing with right now. So the whole chapter was him literally talking about how the rich, like you ain't got much time if you're rich immorally, because we don't teach poverty in the Nation of Islam. So just want to make that very clear. For our white slave masters, our former slave masters who are using our bodies to make them money, Jesus was talking to them, the last shall be first, we the last, and the first shall be last. A great lecture for this is The Great War, Savior's Day 2010, part 2 and part 3. The minister actually goes into this, how he was talking to a rabbi, and he was sitting at his table, and the rabbi said to him, do you drink orange juice? And the minister said, yeah. The rabbi said, that's me, like saying, I own that. Do you like movies? Yeah. He said, that's me. He asked him all these things, and the minister said, in so many words to him, this is not an exact quote, that's why I want you to actually watch the lecture. He says to him, your riches, nor your status, nor your riches will go with you when Allah takes you. None of that's going to matter when he wipes you off the face of this planet. So you can own all that stuff, but it ain't going to matter when you got to go, because you can't hold it for a second, and you can't, none of us literally can delay Allah's time for us. When it's time for us to go home, he gonna snatch us home, and we can't take none of that with us. So yeah. All right, and then we have if anybody has master, you can please put master in the chat, but if not, we'll go on to the next question. The first question is, what are some things we do? This is a reference story of Lazarus that we just read. What are some things we do that are an extension of mercy to the enemy while disserving our own progress towards freedom? Dang, that's a deep question. What are some things we do that are an extension of mercy to the enemy while disserving our own progress towards freedom. And there are some answers in the curriculum, but I want us to, Brother Javon, you can go ahead. We got a couple people in the chat.
Brother Jeremy first.
Okay, yes, sir.
Peace, family. So I would say the biggest thing that sticks out to me is two. You have the music industry and then you have the movie industry. Especially when you think about Cardi B, for example. I know this was, I think, earlier this year or like towards the end of last year, where she was doing a live on Instagram and her music came on and she like tried to run and turn it off real quick because she didn't want her daughter to listen to the music. And it just shows you right there that, you know, what she actually puts out is not what she wants her kids to listen to, you know. And again, so it's just like, well, why would you even kind of make that kind of music, you know? And then the other example with the movie industry, I actually just seen this yesterday on Tyreek Nasheed's page. He was, there's this Asian woman, I don't remember her name, but if you go to his page, you'll see it. She basically said that she didn't want to take on any roles that negatively depict who her people were, right? But she's taken movie roles that has depicted her of being like a black person, you know, like a quote unquote black person and stuff like that, being ghetto. And it just kind of shows you how, you know, people will pick certain things to again negatively impact our people, but to benefit them. So
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Salim, because I think you're absolutely right. This is Surah 22, verse 73. This is the verse that the minister raised in that lecture. This is why we love believers that be watching their lectures, because he knew he was right on it. So this is Surah 22, the pilgrimage, section 10, verse 73, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. This is what the minister said to the rabbi as well. O people, a parable is set forth, so listen to it. Surely those whom you call upon besides Allah cannot create a fly, though they should all gather for it. And if the fly carry off aught from them, they cannot take it back from it. Weak are both the invoker and the invoked. He didn't quote that exactly the way it was said, obviously, because who would necessarily say a whole verse to somebody like that as a comeback. But that is exactly what he was saying. Like if a net were to be on you, you could not call, if a net was to fly from you, you could not call it back. Basically telling the rabbi, like, you're not God. You got money, you got da. But as soon as God call you home, he could do whatever he want to do. You can't even bring a net back if it flies from you. All right. So Brother Demetrius, I believe, was the next one in the chat.
Yes, ma'am. To answer the question, I would just say, like, there's even fields of work, like farming, for example, like just as an example, like of things that we could even be doing that isn't a bad thing to do, but when it's not putting any money or really giving anything, like energy wise, because that's all money is, towards our people, then I would say that would kind of be my answer to that question. But especially examples like the brother brought up, as far as things that they've kind of taken control of and manipulated to be a detriment to our people, putting negative messages in our head, or all the money of what they're doing is going towards, you know, white people's businesses and stuff like that. But on the topic of money, though, I put master because I wanted to just bring up where it's talking about the rich man throughout this chapter. That, let me see, where was it? Well, just throughout the parables, like how it says, at last the rich man died, and in hell he lifted up his eyes. I just wanted to point out that people talk about the difference of being rich and wealthy a lot, and that's just something that we kind of have to break down for ourselves, like what the difference is, as far as, because a lot of people want to be rich because they want the it's the connotation of like the look that's attached to that word, like, you know, stunting on people and, you know, not really doing anything with the money that's going to benefit our people in the long run. So I just wanted to raise that too, because we're not taught, like you said, to be broke at all. We're supposed to have money, good homes, and friendships of all walks of life. Yes, ma'am, legend. Yeah, but that was it.
Very good, very good. Our promise has been given of luxury, money, good homes, friendships, and all walks of life. Even breaking down the difference between what luxury and money is, because apparently they're not the same.
Mm.
They're not the same. So, because you can have money doesn't mean that you're necessarily living lux. So, yeah.
People get money and get shrimp and lobster.
What'd you say?
I said people get money and get shrimp and lobster. Lobster,
Living
that's
on
not luxury.
sea roaches. Exactly. I see that there are a couple people off their camera. I want to see more people off their camera because I just want to see more Black people. I live in a white neighborhood, so if I could see more Black people, that'd be nice. All right, Brother Javon.
It's Brother Basir, then Sister Jardea, and then Sister Rachel.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Sister, can you please repeat the question? That way I'm making sure that I'm...
certainly can. What are some things we do that are an extension of mercy to the enemy while deserving our own progress towards freedom?
Yes, ma'am. The main thing is when we participate in this world of sport and play, participating in activities of death and that promotes decadence and disregards the man of God, his messenger, ultimately is the answer. When we do that, not only do we prolong our salvation, and doing that because it takes more time for God to ultimately wake us up,
Right.
and has to chastise us a little more in order to get that message through. You know, so ultimately our ignorance is what keeps us or what prolongs that the enemy's world. So yes, ma'am.
Very, very good. Next. And Brother Javon, you can just bring them off. Like once the person's done, you can just go to the next one.
Okay. So next we have Sister Rachel and then Sister Jardea.
Thank you. Peace, family. So what came to mind when we were discussing riches, right? I often think about like the books that we have in our possession. They have limitless. I mean, like, it's just the truth given to you, you know, life given to you with how to eat to live. And they maintain like, you know, just $10, $20. And it's like I remember I think Brother Carlos, when we had a discussion with him, we were talking about how he built everything, the Christ, he built everything, and it was with the same amount of money, you know, and right now would be worth 80 something. I don't want to, you know, misquote, but it was a very big number, you know.
Yeah, 8 million. He had a empire of, you talking about the network of the nation in the beginning? 80 million.
Okay,
in
yes.
1975.
Thank you. Yes, 80 million in 1975. Wow. So imagine now. So I mean, you know, I think about even products and services of it doesn't have to be so expensive. You know, it can be something, you know, here, like it's just, it wasn't even about the price. It was about the mind.
That's right.
You know, so a lot of the times we can get wrapped up in a price for a product, but what is it doing for our people?
That's right.
You know, and that's how it's gonna create abundance and just help our community. It definitely is. I mean, great, yeah, money, but the point is, because it's you showing, or when you're receiving money, just showing your appreciation for, or their appreciation for your, you know, your quality or your talent. But just ultimately our products and services, no matter what it is, it's helping our community as long as you have good mind and heart behind it, the intent. That's all I wanted to say.
Very, very good. He said to lower the price, curve the market. Lower the price, curve the market. That's what Walmart did. That's what all these big companies do that make trillions of dollars off of us, because they lowered the price and then they took over the entire market because they were able to lower the price. I saw somebody said something about how to eat to live as well. Like, how to eat to live has literally given people their lives back. Actually, a brother on here healed his body with how to eat to live. It's priceless. And I think it's what, like $5-10 on the Final Call store? It's so cheap, but you get your life back because he's teaching us literally how to eat to live. So yeah. All right, let's do the next person. We'll take 2 more people and then we'll go on into the reading.
Okay, so it'll be sister Jadelle and then brother Lakeem, and then we could I was gonna go, but brother Demetrius, you can go ahead.
Brother Javon, you could go because brother Demetrius already went.
Okay, brother Lakeem, you sure you don't want to go?
Can I go after brother Lakeem? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Just real quick, on the conversation of money, Brother Darren actually put in something interesting in the chat that's worth noting, is that the promise of money, good homes, friendships in all walks of life are predicated on a condition that we must use Islam, right? After learning Islam, after learning the relationship between mathematics and Islam, we must use it, which is Islam. Now, the accumulation of money and the whole concept of money in Satan's world is something that actually distorts our ability to relate to each other. So even when we talk about rich man, we don't do poverty. We don't encourage poverty as a condition of living in the Nation of Islam, but you cannot classify anything that we teach as quote unquote prosperity gospel. There's a balance in the sense that money is simply a tool. I remember hearing Brother Jabril saying money is inferior to bean soup. It's a tool that we use and we recognize there's value in it, but and Brother Demetrius actually hinted at something that of money and energy. Money is just a reflection of the level of life activity that is going on in a nation. And what happens is we spend so much time in the pursuit of money because in the devil's civilization, he puts money in front of our material needs, food, clothing, shelter, education, and healthcare. So we spend time focused on acquiring money in the hopes that we will acquire needs. Part of the value of doing for self and understanding the relationship and where we are in the fall of America is that, and we see this growing, is that once we let go of some of the value, the emphasis on money itself and focus on the function that money serves as a tool, there's a quickening effect in how we can actually come together and bond with respect to building a civilization that reflects what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught.
Where's my tambourine? I've done lost my tambourines. God dang, it would have been a good time to shake the tambourine. Fumbling the ball. All right, let's go to the next person. Let me find my tambourine while y'all do that.
Anissa and this damn tambourine.
Wait a second, let me do it. Hey, brother, I think you better work. All right, go ahead.
I decided to wait. I knew you needed to, let one out real quick.
Get that out.
I really appreciated your note that, we don't preach poverty in the nation. And yes, we started as poor righteous teachers, but we weren't supposed to stay that way. I was having a debate with a sister on Facebook, with a group of people on Facebook, because they were saying it's impossible to be righteous and be a billionaire. And I was saying how I feel like they were trying to honor their statement. They were saying that it's impossible to be righteous in this world and be a billionaire, because to be a billionaire in this world means that you've exploited many, 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 many people in order to get there in this world, right? But then I was like, okay, but what about Mansa Musa? He had so much money that he was, giving out, he was giving out so much gold. He devalued gold around the world for years to come after that. And then the sister said, well, that's like, hundreds of years ago. I'm talking about in like the present day. But what I was saying is that I think that first of all, God eradicated impossible when he created himself out of triple darkness. So to say that it's impossible to be a billionaire and be righteous is to put like a dollar limit to what we can do. And I don't think that that's something that we should do. She was saying that in this capitalist world, it's hard to be right, like how to get money without being exploitative. But we have a promise of luxury, money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life. And then plus, I think it was David Banner who said that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told him about how to reach billions. So
right.
it's not like the minister would never encourage us to do something that is like, untoward or harmful. So that proves that it's possible. Even though there's not too much of an example out of that right now, it is possible. And so I was just kind of wondering, like, not kind of, but I really appreciate that. And like, I've even heard Dr. or Brother Abdul Hakim out in the UK say that we should be embarrassed to not be millionaires after like 5 years of having these teachings. But here's something interesting, and I'm gonna just leave it at this. Like, I'm curious, right? Like, if you remember, God in person came, found the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, taught him what he knew, and then left. We had 3 years and 4 months. Then the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad built the nation basically with his own hands, had his own, like he literally helped to run the restaurants. He was the chef, the cashier, all the things. But God left him at he had already created the wheel. He had mad money. That creating the wheel cost a whole bunch of money. So we know that God in person had, he was making bank. But like, he left him with like no money. Can we talk about why do we think that is? God was like, all right, here you go. Here's how you do it. And like didn't say like, oh, here's like a couple bags of gold to like get you started. Like there's none of that in our teachings. Like, does anyone have any thoughts on why Allah did it that way? Like why Allah had the messenger or the Mahdi rather start from scratch?
Because it proves that God is God. Then he came to him and he gave him a word. So remember when, and you could look at the lecture, actually at the timestamp, we're gonna watch it today. In The Great War, Savior's Day, 2010, part 2. The minister said that he was a little upset. No, Savior's Day 2020, part 1. The Unraveling of a Great Nation. And he said that he was a little upset at the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he left. He said, because you left me with nothing. Like all the others got all the money. He was like, you didn't leave me with nothing. I've done such a good work. How you not leave me with no money? And then he said that he revisited that thought in his mind, that complaint. And he said, you gave me everything. Because he was given the word. In the beginning was what? The creator didn't have necessarily money, dollars to create the universe. In the beginning was the word. And the word was with God and the word was God. He created a whole universe, this thing we living in off the word. So, but it proves the minister rebuilding the nation of Islam with not one dime. And now he's very much not dimeless. It proves that this word is, it works in its energy. He wanted him to have faith before he had money. So oftentimes when we have money, we don't exercise our faith. So Master Prophet Muhammad, Allah in person, left him with nothing, but he left him with everything. He didn't leave him with the white man's currency. He left him with him inside of him. How do you know that you met with God? Because he made me all into himself. So if Master Prophet Muhammad could get to the part where he was, to be able to make the wheel, trillions of dollars in the wheel, if I give you me, you become me, you can do the same thing. And the proof of that is he did it because in 1975, he had an $80 million empire, which is, I think, $500 million in 2021. So yeah, he left them with everything when you give them the word. You could build everything off the word. So hope that helps.
Yes, ma'am. So I was the next master, and I was just gonna say that when we extend the white man's mercy, I'm pretty sure that's what it was asking. How do we do that? And it's when we allow them to, quote unquote, pick us and raise us up out of our current condition, if we might be in the hood and this and that. But they put a black face to a white agenda, especially in the rap game, right? For instance, the baby, when he said his remarks about HIV and AIDS, right? You know, he has all these diamonds, he has these big chains, and he talk about being the realest N-word, right? That there is. He talks about how he done killed this person, that person, he shoot up this, shoot up that, but then you don't have freedom of speech. You can't say what's on your heart. You can't say what you please, because when your master says we don't like that because it seems like you're attacking us, now he apologized 3 times for something that he never said, right? So Mr. Rothschild, and if anybody has Behold a Pale Horse, this is on page 42. It talks about his energy discovery. And Brother Lakeem talked about how, money isn't the real value, it's how you use your energy. It was either Brother Lakeem or Brother Demetrius, but it's your energy that ultimately gets you that currency. So Mr. Rothschild discovered the basic principle of power. When you assume the appearance of power, people soon give it to you, right? So the white man has no real power, but since he's assumed a position to where he, quote unquote, has power, now our people give it to them. And that's why they have the power that they have, because we feel like we're inferior to them and we don't have any power, and our power only comes through the white man and his dollar. That's why we can have all the dollars, but spiritually you're poor, right? You're poor and you're in poverty because you can't say what you want to say. You have no real freedom. You're on a leash because soon as you get out of line, that's when the slave master gonna yank you up. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I had wanted to say. I think next was Brother Basir, and then that was it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all made some really good points, sisters. Jadea, I just wanted to touch on that, how she talked about how they were trying to associate wealth with basically robbing or having to blood suck the wealth out of a poor people. So it was a presentation that I had to give on basically the Ministry of Trade and Commerce and just business in general. And a lot of how we have to change our perspective on how we conduct business and how we associate our mindset with business. Because when you think about business, a lot of people think that in order to be successful in business, you have to be a money grubber, or you have to be involved in some type of thievery or unrighteousness, or just one party has to lose in order for you to be successful. It can't be both parties achieving success in business. And so we have to shift our mindset and how we perceive business ultimately. We associate wealth with, like, if somebody is wealthy, we automatically say, like, I know he was, he had to be doing something to get there. But money or wealth is actually associated with our impact and how we can change the lives of other people. And our biggest example is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. When you look at how he started off, he didn't have the luxury, of course, when he was in show business, but when he started off as a minister, he didn't have that luxury that he has now. But the impact of the people that he has and the lives that he has changed ultimately has granted him that wealth, that luxury, that good home. So we have to associate business with the impact and the lives that we can change. So you can become a millionaire if you can impact 1 million lives. You can become a billionaire if you can impact 1 billion lives and change, the perspective of 1 billion people. So that's all I had to say. It's just we have to associate business with impact and change in people's lives.
Very good.
Real quick, Sister Yusuf.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So we have some more masters after I had put the line. So do you want to go ahead, finish the book, and then they'll be the first to go? And then, all right. So it'll be Brother Demetrius, then Sister Kristen, and then Brother Darren, and then Brother Khalif.
Praise be to Allah. Sister Jadea mentioned David Banner, the conversation and Minister had with David Banner. The answer that he gave him to be able to become to billionaire status, he said, get into agriculture. He said, make clean, organic, good food for your people. That is how you get to become a billionaire. And that does not sound like capitalism to me. That sounds like making an impact and how to eat to live and feeding your people good stuff. In the Message of the Black Man, I believe the book is, we're taught that business is the activity of life. Read the parable of gold in the Bible. It's a great parable to read, to bear witness to. Business is the activity of life. All right, so let's go into the reading. Who was able to read?
I got you.
All right, cool.
We're on chapter 62.
Yes, we're on the last chapter, girl.
Oh my God. Okay. Bismillah. Okay, chapter 62. The worst is yet to come. According to radio and television, and according to individual conversation, and according to conversation heard between government officials concerning their problem of trying to find a way to peace for their people, and a way to find stoppage of the fall of their money market and unemployment, and a stoppage to the revolutions between the dissatisfied and the dissatisfied, and to find a way to be able to eat and to keep the hungry eating from his own labor. Pacification is offered, but it does not satisfy. With nations rejecting peace offers and nations laughing and making mock of you for ever seeking peace and friendship, as it is written, peace is desired more than fine gold. Now to see all of these things coming to pass, things that we did not know that we would see. We did not know that we would see such a Goliath, such a giant falling. Goliath, who has defied the nations of the earth to come out and fight with them, as Goliath did before Israel. Now nations make mock of the great giant of the earth, America. The sword within and the sword without. Trouble seems to have no end, and with tens of millions of free Black slaves crying for freedom, justice, and equality from the white slave master, and the white slave master wanting to deceive the Black slave and make promises that the white slave master does not intend to fulfill to free his Black slave, and with the free Black slave thinking that he will eat some crumbs of freedom, justice, and equality from his white slave master, the free Black slave will be gravely deceived. The white slave master could not free himself from his enemies, not to think of the white slave master freeing himself from the consequences of the dissatisfied world. So with the worst yet to come, I say to you, my Black brothers and my Black sisters, fly to Allah and come follow me. There are some intelligent white people who know and who bear witness with me that the worst is yet to come. Look at Texas. There is a warden at a certain prison house who sends the believers, Muslims, to the temple so that they may listen to the truth, which is their salvation today, to accept the truth. I think that this is a very wise warden. It is like Ahab's general, Bible in parentheses. The general knew that Ahab was wrong and that Elijah was right. Ahab's general took 400 of Elijah's followers and hid and fed them with the bread of Ahab in order to save them from hunger while they were in captivity to Ahab. I say to you, leaders, remember the above said of this writing, that the worst is yet to come, as the Bible teaches us that a time would come that had never come before, and that those who understood, their hearts would be failing them with fear, and their eyes would go away in their holes, for looking at the things that they saw coming on the people, the trouble, the destruction, and the plagues. Look at the earthquakes that are taking place. Those earthquakes are on their way here. We are feeling the earth shaking under our feet across the country. As the Holy Quran prophesies to us, you will hear it coming from distant places with vehement raging and roaring. America is beset all around now with troubles and destructions which have happened. America thought that she was immune to the troubles and destructions which are going on in other nations. Now, the same trouble and destruction that you read of as happening in other countries and to other nations, these same troubles and destruction with their evil and gruesome sound are knocking on the door of America.
Praise be to Allah. All right, we got 9 minutes of discussion. So, Brother Javon, what you could do is just literally, like, after the person says something, and just go to the next, to the next, to the next, and I will keep my mouth shut. Before I keep my mouth shut, I want to read this from the Unraveling of a Great Nation so we can get the exact quote that the minister said about when he said, I have everything. He said, I was put in this position. I didn't steal. He was saying I put like in the position of the seat that he's occupying. I was put in this position. I didn't steal from nobody. I started with nothing, no followers, no money. I used to look at the picture of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when I thought he was dead. And I said, dear apostle, I was faithful to you for 20 years. I worked day and night. I have nothing. You didn't leave me nothing. I was acting very immature. Then one day I looked at his picture and said, thank you. You gave me everything. You gave me the word, and God gave me the faith and the courage and the strength. That's what you're looking at. Praise be to Allah. All right, let's go into the masters.
Brother Demetrius.
Yes, sir. So originally I had just put master because I just wanted to give my brother a verbal happy born day shout out to brother Basir, because everybody was saying it. Everybody was saying it in the chat. I just wanted to say it out loud because we love when people make a point to spend their born day on the master call to treat themselves to some good word and guidance. But that was all I had to say originally. But after that last chapter, Lord, because we've been saying, like, as we got closer and closer to the end of this book, that the more and more relevant a lot of the stuff he was saying was starting to happen. And that was just like where we at right now, especially when he said, look at Texas. And I was like, dang. And I was like, look at Texas. You know what I mean? Like they trying to what's it called? Secede right now or whatever they trying to do their own little thing. It's a lot going on in Texas. They about to make it open carry to where you don't have to have no type of background checks. Just get a gun and you're good to go. And Brother Reza was breaking down that movie too, The Forever Purge, which took place in Texas in the movie, kind of connecting some dots there. But and he started talking about the earthquakes. I immediately thought of Haiti. And of course, that last paragraph, like Sister Adina was saying in the chat, that's where we at. The same trouble and destruction that we're seeing happening in other countries right now are knocking on America's door. Famine is already here. You know what I mean? So it's like, boy, oh boy. But yeah, that was it.
All right, Sister Kristen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. But peace.
Alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. Okay. I honestly do not remember exactly what I wanted to say. But one thing that did come in my head, pop in my head, was when we were talking about, wealth and having money. Mother Tynetta definitely popped in my head. When after the messenger departed, of course she didn't have too much, and he simply told her to seek refuge in Allah. And I'm like, I have so much respect for her. I would have to say, because I haven't got that far in life yet. Especially with 4 babies. I don't have 4 babies, trust me. Look, since I told her I don't have 4. But no, and like I just feel like, but she, of course, she made it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I do believe that your attitude, it's just, of course not negative. It's just like your way of thinking and everything. Like your belief in Allah will get you far in life. Like so I'm elevating up there, but I definitely do think that it's more than just like working, making money. You know what I'm saying? It's just like things can happen. Things are possible if your mind is in the right place. That's how I remember it as of now.
Very good. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, and all these things, material things, the monies, the luxury, all the things, all these things will be added unto you. But God asks us to do something first. We're going to have to do a little bit of submission first. So, yep. All right, next.
Brother Darren. Brother Darren.
Brother Darren, you're on mute. My dear brother Noom said.
Oh goodness, here we go. So, man, I just almost got a little lost. I was talking. Okay, so the first thing is time and attention that I wanted to say, in that we give our enemy too much time, way too much of our attention. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister was Farrakhan. We know the Honorable Minister was Farrakhan especially does not waste a second in consideration of what the enemy is going to do. Though I'm sure he's aware that it is a variable in what might come, but he's thinking, okay, if Allah wants this, how are we going to move in this? As things come to him, it comes to him, but it's about that movement forward. Also, this is kind of in connection to what Sister Christian said, but I think it ties in together as well. Seeking refuge in Allah in a dying world should be 24 hours a day. I mean, even in our sleep, we should probably like trying to find a way in our sleep to seek refuge in Allah. We know that peace comes from Allah. And in a dying world and in a storm, the only way to get peace, true peace, is to go to Allah. So this is where constantly and perpetually feeding on his word, the highest truth. It is literally a spiritual light. You read the Holy Quran deep enough, long enough, you read the teachings deep enough, long enough, in the midst of craziness around you, it's almost like a veritable light that's in your mind, that's glowing, throbbing, illumined, right? To see through the craziness to people. So when we take our time and our attention away from them, and then we're going to Allah for his instructions. And remember this last point, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a brother come up to him with a gun. And he said, I should kill you. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, well, if it pleases Allah, you will. But if it don't, you won't. There are times where people have frozen his brother. It happened to his brother. It froze. When we say that Master Prophet Muhammad is in complete control, it was a sister in Chicago who was shot at. And she heard a voice that told her, don't move. Right. Was shot and none of the bullets penetrated. We have nothing to worry about, and this enemy shouldn't even be a consideration. Anything more than just communicating to our children or those of the ignorant to say, hey, this is who they are, but we have a powerful God that we serve. As a Christian saying, what a mighty God we serve.
Right there, you said every single thing that I was thinking in my little old bean head, child. Yes, everything. Go ahead to the next person. Go. I see there's a couple of people in there that want to say something that we haven't heard from. So, Brother Javon, if you could go to maybe a person that we haven't heard from yet.
Yes, it's Brother Khalid.
Okay, and then we'll take one more person after him.
Assalamualaikum. That was amazing. It cut my Zoom call cut out when he was telling the story about Elijah Muhammad. That kind of messed me up, but I think I got the gist of it. That was partly what I did want to talk about was what a few sisters and brothers were talking about earlier about that poor mindset of like us keeping that in our head. And I think it does go into like somewhat of American programming into us to keep Black people's culture and thinking that riches and money is literally a bad thing, and that keeps us further away from it. I've been going through the BWO course and really learning about the mindset and the spiritual part about money. And it's amazing. I was listening to the minister, one of his lectures, and I just, after falling asleep on that lecture, I woke up and I was listening to some Jewish rabbi talking on YouTube, and he was really bearing witness to the minister, and he was talking about how money is a lot more of a spiritual thing than we think of it as. You know, you just got the skills and the tools, or you just know how to make money, and it's more of like your spirit will bring all that money to you and your mindset. And I think Black people, we have that enforcing us from the teachings that we have, the Bible, some of us even in the Quran.
Right.
I don't know like exactly what it is, but it talks about poor. It gives the man that's poor in spirit something like he has favor on him, or he's seen favor from Allah. That's not quoted, but and it talks about it. It's poor in spirit, not in terms of poor in money. It's poor that you look around and that you don't see too much genuine good, that you don't see too much righteousness out here. It's not poor in meaning like your pockets are literally poor. So I think that's something we got to get out of the mindset and really thinking that poor is just what we need to do to be righteous. And that's totally away from, I believe, what Allah wants us to do. That's all I had to say.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. And then we'll take one more person before we bring up our special guest.
All right. Lastly is Brother Dave Davinci.
How you going? How you guys doing? Wow, I don't know where to start, but when you guys were just talking about the wealth aspect of everything, the thing that I started thinking was Luke 12:15 when it was saying beware. Yeah, it was stating about beware of like the greedy. So as this world as we going through, as he was just talking about the famine and everything of that nature, it's a lot of that going on, but it's like you wanna assist, you know, as the best as you could, but at the same time you know who to assist. You see what I'm saying? Like, I know I do. I can't just, if you hungry, I know I want to help you, but it's like people take your kindness for weakness in certain aspects. So then it's just like you start shielding yourself from a lot of the temptations that comes about. So it's like they say, with money comes the problems, you know. So it's like that's just a mindset that I've been thinking. I already know where I'm going to go, where it's going to be, and how I can get to it. I just study a lot before putting into action, because it's like, do I really want that to come about upon the people that I care for, you know? Like, so how do you
want what to come about? The problems because of money?
Correct. Which is already there, but it's like,
we got problems because of poverty.
Correct.
We have more problems because of poverty.
No, well, let me restate it, like in the sense of a lot of people do a lot of things for money. In the sense of, I know money is a tool. You need, you know, that's immediate. You need that. But at the sense, it's like the things that people will do to get it, and the level of harm that it causes to a person's character, in a sense, right? So, how I'm saying it is like, how would you know?
Time.
Go ahead. Go finish, brother.
How would you know that you're getting the correct guidance, you know, from the people who's trying to give you like a tool?
I think the body would tell you. So a question was asked to student minister Ava Muhammad. For those who may not know, she's the national spokesperson to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the question was raised: how do you know when God is talking to you and when it's Satan? God, like, of self, and Satan of self talking to you. And she said God's voice is instructional and Satan's voice is suggestive. So I think that's a brilliant way to go about it when you're receiving information from people on how to level up and da. If the first voice in your mind is saying, don't go do that, that's instruction. And if the second voice is saying, but you could just do it just one time, that's Satan. That's suggestions. Just do it one, ain't gonna be no problem. Just do it this one time, you're gonna have no problems. Now if the first voice is saying, do it, go, green light, press forward. And then the second voice is saying, we really don't even need all that. You don't need that. I mean, what would you really get out of that, really? That'd be the Satan casting evil suggestions amongst the righteous. So you'll know by the we have what we call the self-accusing spirit. God put himself in each and every single one of us so that we could walk this earth, not having to call on him for every single little thing. He put himself in there so we could discern between ourselves and be like, okay. When you feel it in your chest, like that, what they call the gut feeling, that ain't just something that come from your gut because you got gas. That's God talking to you. Listen to the guts. So yeah, you'll know when you know. We always know. We literally always know. And then ever made a mistake that you put yourself in, because I know I've done it plenty of times, and then it happens. And then you could go back, you want to blame a whole bunch of other people, but then you go back in hindsight and you be like, I could have did this different, definitely could have did that different. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen because when I did that, I knew this was going to be a cause and effect of that. We be knowing. So yeah, I hope that helped. All right, so let's go to our beautiful sister Zewdy. She has a testimony for us. We didn't know until she said it on the master call that just 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, she joined the Nation of Islam after being an atheist for a long time. I'm not sure if she, I guess she'll go into the answering the question of that. I'm not sure if she believed in God and then lost faith and then found God again, or if she just never believed and then she found Islam and became a stone cold MGT. But we will bring on our beautiful sister Zewdy.
Get the loud
the
popcorn,
only
y'all.
Zewdy in the Nation of Islam, because I never heard of another Zewdy, so she is one of a kind, and she will bless us with her presence to help us understand how she overcame atheism. And even if you did not overcome atheism, this is still a beautiful testimony for all of us when our faith is weakened and how to get back on track. So
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Sister Zewdy, if you could
Allahu
please
Akbar.
enter the stage.
Allahu Akbar. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right, well.
Pin her.
I'm doing it.
Oh.
Somebody, I don't know how to do it. Why it's not letting me do it? Somebody pin her. Oh, there we go.
I got
Okay.
Oh, whoa, dang. All right, well, I would like to open up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah who came in the person of Master Father Muhammad. I further bear witness that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his living, risen and exalted Christ, and that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is their divine reminder, warner, leader, teacher, guide, Jesus and Messiah in our midst, and that he personally saved my life. I would like to greet you all again in the greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum.
Wow.
Walaikum salam.
I feel so happy and just excited to share with you. So I don't want to waste any time. And I have so much to say, and I'm going to make sure. I prayed that Allah would speak through me and give what is necessary. So I'm going to start. So I was born Zewdy Awalum, which means Zewdy means crown, and Awalum means he administered or he managed. And I was born on July 4th, 1990, to an atheist Eritrean father and an agnostic Ethiopian mother. They were both raised Christian back in Ethiopia and Eritrea, but my father, he let it go because he saw a lot of hypocrisy in religion and how in Christianity, there's no mixture of science and religion. And he's, for the most part, a very logical person. So he let religion go early. My mother, if you would ask her, does she believe in God? She would say that she does, but she doesn't. It's not like something that she practices. It's something that's in here, but she's a woman that I would say is close to what a Muslim is, like just in her way of living. So, I was raised in a religious free household. There was no talk of religion. There was no talk of spirituality. But my grandmother on my mother's side, she is a devout Ethiopian Orthodox Christian. And to my father's, well, he didn't want this, but he let her have me christened as a baby just to make her happy. So, and my grandmother, I believe that her prayers are part of part of the reason that led me to the path of actually finding God. And I'm so thankful for her. So growing up, you know, I had an aunt I want to mention who is a Rasta, who was like my idol growing up, and she fed me spiritually. But because I lived with my parents and my father most of the time, the competing ideas, my father's won because that was my main, you know, person that was raising me. But my aunt Tehetana, or Auntie Cookie, she instilled in me a consciousness at a young age. So I always loved Black people, and I had a certain level of awareness of the wickedness of white people. I didn't know that they were devils, but I knew that it was something up with them. And growing up in Union, New Jersey, I grew up with a lot of them, and my experience with them for the most part was not that great. So, you know, I kept my atheism to myself in school because my parents were afraid if people knew you didn't believe in God, they would judge you, they would think these different things. And, you know, so I was afraid to reveal it to most people. I remember I told my friends that my father didn't believe in God. And one of them was like, oh, he don't believe in God? Well, he going to hell, because if you don't believe in God, you're going to, and I was just like, what? I was like maybe 7 years old, and I was so hurt because I heard of, you know, heaven and hell and that kind of thing. But I remember just like going in my house and going into different rooms and looking up and like, how can God be here and how can God be there? And I was like, you know what, my father, he's right. Because if this God thinks that my father's going to hell because he doesn't believe in him, but my father's a good person, then fine. And then when I thought about a lot of the adversity that people were experiencing, I was like, people talk about this loving God, but they can't explain to me why slavery happened or why people are poor or homeless. Like, people are suffering. And so, you know, that justified my atheism at that time. So, you know, getting a little older in middle school, high school, when I start dating and things like that, I was very insecure. I was just insecure for a long time. And, you know, there were people that didn't like me and I really wanted their acceptance. And I would go home to my parents and try to like ask them, like, why are people mean to me? Why do they do this? And they would say, oh, you know, they're just jealous. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because if they were jealous, why would they be saying I'm ugly or making fun of me for being skinny or being Ethiopian? And so, you know, my parents didn't have the knowledge of self. They didn't have the knowledge of what had been done to our people here in America. Like, they knew about slavery, but they didn't know the depths of Satan, which we cannot fathom. And they didn't know what all, like, the mind state and what happened to our people. So they couldn't explain the division and all of that. So nothing that they could say would suffice. And I just was like, you know, my dad told me I was beautiful my whole life. And I'm like, you're my dad, you have to say that. So when I started dating and stuff, I did not value myself. I didn't know how to pick them. I chose men and boys who cheated on me, lied to me, they just mistreated me. And, you know, I accepted it. I tolerated it. And over time, it was chipping away more and more at my self-esteem. Meanwhile, I'm literally devoting myself to them, dedicating my everything. Like, and in retrospect, I understand now that I was looking for God. I was looking for God because I was really like worshiping the men that I entertained. So it was crazy. you know, I always wanted to be a singer. That was like in my heart from childhood. And I always had this sense of purpose that I was going to be this big superstar and I was going to use my fame and the fortune to help underprivileged people. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't really know how that was going to happen. But to me, that indicates that, you know, I had the right idea. I just didn't have the foundation to understand like how to do it. And so in 2007, when I was a senior in high school, I started putting videos on YouTube where I would cover people's songs. And that was like gaining me fame on the internet. I was like one of the YouTube OGs of covering people's songs. And I got a lot of different opportunities from that. I started recording with some producers that were from Norway, and we were recording in Wyclef Studio. And prior to that, I was recording with some of my homeboys from East Orange and Newark. Like I was like that round the way girl singing their hooks and stuff like that. But in 2009, when I was 18 going on 19, I was approached by some people who wanted to sign me to an independent label, and they happened to be connected to Akon in some kind of way. I was actually signed to Akon's Ethiopian wife, Rosie. So I took the label deal, and, you know, I had a certain level of confidence in myself, but not enough to withstand some of the things that they told me I was going to have to do. So I knew that I had a voice and a strong voice, but they were trying to make me into like some little pop princess that wasn't really using her voice and just singing like these little bubblegum songs. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, I can really sing. And they're like, well, first you got to do this. And then, you know, once you get in the door, then you can do what you want to do. That is a lie. That is a lie. I didn't know that. I fell for it. And I was like, fine. Like, something in me really wanted to fight, but I felt like they had the say. I didn't have any leverage, even though they found me on the internet. But in any case, I was with them. And, you know, they had me going to different labels. I went to Jive, I went to J, I went to, I went to a lot of different labels because they were trying to get a distribution deal through a bigger label. And I believe that it never worked out. I mean, I thank Allah that it didn't, because if it did, I don't know where I would be. But I believe it didn't work out because it wasn't connecting. Like, I was making these whack songs that I didn't have any creative input other than me using my voice. The songs are being written for me, the concepts. And so when I would perform them for the label executives, it's like I'm trying to do it, but my heart's not really in it because I didn't feel it. And I wanted to be someone who had a message, and this was it was BS. So that wasn't working. That was 2009. 2010, I did some stuff performing and all of that. 2011, 2012, my contract with them had expired, but you know, my loyalty to them, I wasn't just going to leave, but I was going crazy because they weren't letting me do anything. Like, they didn't have any work for me. Then I got an email from Solange Knowles' management. And she was like, yeah, Solange saw you on YouTube and she wanted to know if you want to audition to be one of her background vocalists. I'm like, heck yeah. So I contact my label and I let them know about this opportunity and that I was going to take it because I wasn't doing anything anyway. So one of the label executives, she tried to discourage me. She was like, oh, who is Solange? Maybe if it was Beyonce, but Solange, like, oh, this might ruin your image, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Her partner, he was like, go for it, you know, have fun. So the lady, she was like, well, make sure you let her know that about your label and that at some point you're going to have to stop. I'm like, okay. So I auditioned, I got the audition. Touring with Solange, being her background vocalist, was one of the greatest experiences of my life, of my career. I thank Allah for that. We traveled all over the US and to 4 countries in Europe, England, France, Holland, and Germany. And then when we came back to the States, did some more shows in the States so I toured with her from October 2012 to February 2013. And it ended short because my label contacted me and was like, okay, we're ready for you to come back to Georgia and, you know, buckle down and work on music. You know, you want to be a solo artist, da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, I love what I'm doing, but that is what I wanted to do and have my own background vocalist someday. So a few shows before my Atlanta show, I let Solange and her team know, you know, it's almost that time that I'll have to leave the tour. And I really don't want to. I don't want to, but, you know, I have to go my own way. So she was understanding. She was very gracious. And all I had to do, like, after I left, I ended up training the person who's going to replace me. But my Atlanta show, that was February 28th, the last day of February. And when I left the show, I went back to my label owner's home in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And that night I just broke down because I had been going through a lot, like with heartbreak. And I mean, I also want to mention that at this time, I was like a heavy weed smoker. I was smoking all day long. When I was on tour Solange, we were smoking, especially when we went to Amsterdam. Like, it was crazy. But so I was going through a lot. I was in the lowest place of my life, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I wasn't really taking care of myself. And this is like, so after midnight, so it's technically March 1st. And I prayed for the first time. I was crying and I was just like, God, I can't deny the fact that you're real. And I just want to know who you are. Please show me who you are. That was my first prayer in life. So it's crazy how quickly Allah answered my prayer. The next day, I started getting these like impulses, like these things in my mind. I was told detox. I'm like, oh, I need to detox. Okay, I'm gonna cut off people. I'm gonna cut off my ex-boyfriend, and I'm gonna cleanse. And the lady I was staying with, she was getting ready to do a fast because she was an Orthodox Christian, and their fast of Lent was coming up. And the Ethiopian Orthodox version of that is a 55-day vegan fast. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it with you. So that was my introduction to the plant-based lifestyle. I'm currently vegetarian now, but I was vegan for a year and a half starting then. So March 11th, 2013 was when Lent started. And I was going strong. It was difficult because I was addicted to meat and I loved cheese. I had mentioned on the last call that I was having dreams about eating meat, like eating raw meat, macaroni and cheese, all this kind of stuff. I was also having really weird dreams, I think from detoxing from marijuana, because like when I smoked weed, I didn't dream a lot. So about a month into the fast, April 13th, 2013, a friend of mine who goes by the name of Gabriel, aka Jabril, he's really like an angel. He took me to a concert of Liana La Havas. So we went to this concert and he was like, yeah, my friend might be meeting us there. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So we're at the concert and afterwards he introduces me to his friend. He goes by Brandon. And he's actually in the nation. He's the one who introduced me to the teachings. So when he introduced me to Brandon, this really strange feeling came over me, like a familiarity, like I know him. And you got to remember, I'm fasting, I'm cleansing. So a month in, my senses were so heightened, like I felt like I was seeing clearer, hearing clearer, everything was heightened. And when I met him, I was like, I even asked him, like, do I know you? And he just smiled. He's like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, okay. So after the show, we go like to IHOP to just hang out or whatever. And they're chilling. I get a black coffee because I didn't think I was going to sleep anytime soon. And they're having conversation for the most part. And I'm just listening. But I keep looking at this brother like, who the heck are you? Like, what is this? This is really strange. And afterwards, yeah, afterwards, Gabriel takes me home, and I keep telling him like, yeah, I feel like I know your friend. I feel like I know him. And like days following that, I would say that on the phone. So somehow me and brother Brandon, we became friends on Twitter. I started talking to him and telling him like the things that I was passionate about, which was music and Black unity and all this stuff. And then he's like, oh, well, just to let you know, I'm a Muslim in the Nation of Islam. And I'm like, cool. I didn't really know anything about the nation. I didn't hear negative, positive. There was one girl that I went to high school with who had joined briefly in like 2010. And I used to see her posts on Facebook. And some of the stuff she said was really cool. Like she would quote things from the minister, but I didn't know anything about him. I just saw, I would see things, but I wasn't interested because I wasn't in that place. Like anything that had to do with God, I wasn't interested. But I acknowledged that some of the stuff that she said was cool. So anyway, Brandon tells me about being in the nation. And, you know, we start developing a friendship, and I tell him about the things I was dealing with my record label and with my personal life. And so he listens to what I'm saying, and then he would like send me a lecture. Sent me a lecture, I would watch it. And I was watching, one of the first lectures I watched was the dumbing down of the American people. And I'm watching the minister and I'm like, wow, like this man is something. He felt like my father, like not that he actually reminded me of my dad in some little instances, maybe because I don't know, my father's a little older, not as old as the minister biologically, but I don't know, there was something. I mean, I know now that he is my spiritual father, but I felt it. And everything that I was getting from the lectures, I'm like, okay, these are things that are practical and that I can apply to my life. So 2013, you know, he keeps sending me lectures. I'll watch them, then we will discuss, and I will ask questions, and he answered my questions. And I want to say another thing that attracted me to the nation was the fact that there's science, there's history, there's math, and coming from atheism, you know, I'm like, okay, because I didn't know that religion had that, you know. So yeah, I'm watching these lectures, and then I start buying books. He tells me about Dr. Wesley because Dr. Wesley also came from atheism. I'm like, okay, cool. And he also told me about Mother Tynetta because some of the things that I was interested in, he was like, you know, you remind me of Mother Tynetta. And then when I started looking into her, I fell in love, and it was like I felt like kindred with her. And so I continue on. I buy Message to the Black Man. I buy How to Eat to Live 1 and 2, and I buy the Book of God, Dr. Wesley's book. And I'm like I'm going hard, but then I realized I'm not going to retain all of this. So I need to like relax and just take my time. But I was so excited. Like when I was reading Message to the Black Man and seeing the parallels of, you know, the children of Israel and Black people in America, I'm like, my people need to know this. So I bought 7 of my friends' Messages to the Black Man and sent it to them because I knew that I was growing and I knew I was changing. I could literally feel it. And I wanted my friends to like still know me because I knew I wasn't going to be the same, but I also wanted them to know what I was learning because it involves them, even if they never got into it. So yeah, I bought 7 of my friends' Message to the Black Man, and I remember going back to Jersey and like talking to them and telling them. And I remember like one sister who's a Sunni, and she was like friends with my friends, like she was trying to say, you know, that the minister like killed Malcolm X. I'm like, that is not true. And fortunately, I knew that to not be the truth because the brother who introduced me, he taught me about that history. And one of the interesting things about him was that his love for Malcolm is actually something that led him to the nation. And that's how you know he actually studied. You know, he didn't just go off of what people were saying. He actually studied and learned the truth. So praise be to Allah for that. So yeah, 2013, 2014, I'm studying, I'm reading. I've never been to the mosque yet, but I'm watching lectures. I was catching up to the time of what must be done because it already started when I got introduced to the teachings. But I'm watching lectures and I'm reading the books. And in 2015, there was an event happening at the mosque, which was Save Our Girls, where Sister Ava was the keynote speaker. And I remember it was April 18th, 2015. And I was like telling Brother Brandon, as well as another brother he introduced me to, Brother Anthony. Those are my first two Muslim friends. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go to the mosque for that. And he was like, all right, praise be to Allah. He never once tried to force Islam on me. He never said, you need to join, or nothing like that. He was like the perfect guide. So I thank Allah for him and for everything that he helped me to understand. So I go to the mosque and I remember the sisters being so welcoming. And there was a few sisters who knew who I was already from the internet. And they're like, wow, are you Zewdy from YouTube? And I'm like, yeah. So that was so crazy. But I go and I watch it, and all of the speakers were wonderful. Dr. Ava was just on point as usual. This was not my first time. It was my first time seeing her live. It was recorded from headquarters, but this was the first time I saw her speaking live. So, man, I was so inspired and so fired up that after that, I was like, I'm processing. So the following Saturday, I started processing. And I processed for kind of a long time because in 2015, I went to Ethiopia in September for a performance. And so that kind of like halted things. And then I also went to Ethiopia again a couple months later to do a tour in Addis Ababa, the capital city, with my father, who also performs, and my sister, who performs and had a band at the time. So we went to Ethiopia for most of January 2016. And when I first went to Ethiopia, I was still like showing my hair sometimes. But by the time I left Ethiopia, I was like, I'm just covering. That's it. And, you know, as I was going through my process, I would post things here and there on my Facebook and on my Instagram because I wanted my following to kind of come on the journey with me. I didn't want it to just be like, boom, I'm a Muslim now, like, you know. And I was getting pushback from the beginning, but I just kept going because I knew that this wasn't about that. Like, you know, I used to, I have to mention that prior to Islam, I was so insecure when it came to my people in Ethiopia and Eritrea because I wasn't raised there. I wasn't raised around Ethiopian and Eritrean people. I don't speak the languages fluently. So, you know, I already felt kind of lesser in that sense. And they made me feel like that too, because they would say, you're not a real Ethiopian because you don't speak Amarinya. You're like American girl. You're not all this kind of stuff. Even though I was really trying to please them, I would wear the green, yellow, red on my wrist and have my flags in the background of my videos and like let people know I'm Eritrean and Ethiopian. And it wasn't enough. And it used to really hurt me. Like I would cry because I was like, why don't they accept me? Like I love my people and I'm proud to be from this people. Like, why are y'all so, just because I wasn't born there? In any case, I thank Allah that, you know, it happened that way because I can see like so many things that seemed like I was deprived or that I went without actually served me for the better. Because I don't know if you all are familiar with Ethiopian and Eritrean people, and this is not to throw them under the bus or anything like that, but some of them really feel like they're not Black or that they're better than other Black people. And who knows, if I was raised in that environment, I might have came out that way. But praise be to Allah, I always just felt Black. Like, yes, I'm Ethiopian, Eritrean, but when I see a Black person, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my people. Even from pre-K, I remember being in pre-K and scanning the room and looking for the brown people to play with. So anyway, fast forward, processing. So I processed 2016, and I want to give you guys one of my first situations where Allah like showed me He was with me in a big way. So I was looking for work because oh my gosh, I'm like missing out so many things. I'm sorry, I gotta go back to 2015. Right before I started processing, I my label, I was separating from my label, and you know, I had the opportunity to either reestablish the contract or go my own way, and I decided to go my own way, and I'm thankful that I did. And it was crazy too, because after I did that, then the lady that I used to be signed to was slandering me and saying like, oh, you know, she quit music because she married some Muslim man and now she's not allowed to do music. And I'm like, that is not true. That was crazy. And I don't know why she thought it wasn't going to get back to me, because like we knew all the same people in the industry, and like 3 people had asked me if that happened, and I'm like, no. And I actually confronted her about that, and she said she didn't say it. And I'm like, okay. Anyway, fast forward back to processing. So I'm processing 2016, and I'm looking for a job because I kind of had to put music to the side after coming back from Ethiopia. I had to just find a way to make money because my parents were so gracious enough to help me and my brother get a house in Decatur, but I had to, you know, take care of it. So I'm looking for a job, and I'm at my homegirl's job at a restaurant, an Ethiopian restaurant. And she said, oh yeah, we're hiring. I said, okay, let's see. So I asked the lady, but I noticed that it's a server job, but it's also a bartending job. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't do that. But is there any way that I can separate the serving and, you know, somebody else do that? And she was like, no, it's a 2-package deal. And I'm like, okay. So I walk away from her and I sit down at my computer and I just pray to Allah real quick. And I'm like, Allah, I'm going to trust you because I know that you are sufficient and you will supply my needs some way, somehow. So I'm not going to compromise what I believe. I'm going to stand firm on it. So I went back to her and I said, I appreciate the offer, but I cannot accept this job. And she was like mocking me, like, why? Like, it's not like you have to drink it. And I'm like, why would I serve alcohol? Like, if this is something that I will not put in my body, why would I serve my people alcohol? So I'm like, okay, I just let her mock me and laugh. I went back over to my computer and then I just go to my email, and then I received an email from Dartmouth College, a sister that went to that school, who was looking to hire me for a gig at for their Black Students Union. And I was like, Allahu Akbar. Like, he immediately answered. He was like, I'm gonna reward you for staying strong. Like, that was like, oh. Oh my goodness, that was like one of the most rewarding things. I thank Allah for that experience. So I went, I think it was a month after that, I went to Dartmouth College in New Hampshire, and I performed for the Black Students Union and the African Students Association, and it was a great time. I was with my people, and it was just wonderful. I thank Allah. So that was like May, June, July 2016, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to write my letter to the Savior. And so what I did was, on my 26th birthday, July 4th, 2016, I cut all my hair off. I cut it off with scissors. It didn't look pretty because it was really bad. But I cut my hair off. I cleansed myself. I prayed, and I wrote my letter. I wrote my letter on my 26th birthday, and I sent it off. And by the grace of Allah, my letter was accepted. Praise be to Allah, the first time. And I recited on September 10th, 2016. And that was the day that I received my ex. Praise be to Allah. And I've been striving, going hard ever since. It's been a roller coaster, but it's the best journey I could ever be on. And I want to say that, you know, I was a little unsure about like how it works as someone who doesn't have a slave name, right? My processing instructor was like, yeah, you still receive an X. And I was like, that's fine with me because I want the X, because I want people to know and not get it twisted that I am a Farrakhan Muslim, okay? But I was recently talking to Brother Akbar, the recording angel, and he actually said because I have an original name, I could keep it. But I was like, okay, that's understandable. That's why you still see it, like it's there, Zewdy al-Alam. But you know, I wear my X proudly because I want people to know. And yeah, it's just been a wonderful journey. This September will make 5 years, inshallah. And I'm just so happy and thankful to be in the Nation of Islam. I receive all kinds of backlash from certain people, from Muslims from the East, from Christians from the East. And, you know, I've learned over time how to better deal with them more and more. The more that I learn to rise above my emotions into the thinking of God. And but a lot of people have actually shared with me, like my fans and supporters, that they're proud of me and that they're inspired. And I pray that Allah will help me to help people see the truth and really know who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is. Because when I think about my journey and my unique composition of all these different things, I believe that Allah chose me to be a part of this nation for the purpose of helping to unite our people in Ethiopia and Eritrea, but also to help guide them to the straight path, to the right path, because the whole world of Islam has deviated. So yeah, I thank Allah, and I thank you, Sister Anissa, for this opportunity to speak to everyone and share my journey. I pray I didn't leave anything significant out, but yeah, that's my story.
Praise be to Allah. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
That was absolutely amazing. You got a thug tearing up on a Thursday. I don't never tear up on Thursdays, usually only Mondays, but but that was absolutely beautiful. I thank you so much for coming on here and being transparent and literally walking us through your journey. Like, in your story, I'm pretty sure so many of us can find ourselves inside of your story that we're like, we really all have walked. Allah get us when we at that rock bottom. When we get to that rock bottom, Allah is right there because he made the rock. He made that hard rock for us to fumble on, and at that bottom is just we just alone, and it's just us and him. It's just the two of us. That's it. And it's so much easier for him to be able to talk to us when we let ourselves, not even when he get us to the rock bottom, when we let ourselves get to rock bottom, and he like, okay, so baby girl, baby boy, let's talk about it, because I know you got some stuff you want to talk about. So that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And the people are saying, write a book, do a movie, something. Do something with it. Maybe put it in a song, something that other people could see that and feel encouraged by your journey, because it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. May Allah continue to bless you. May Allah continue to guide you, and may Allah grant you the wish, that the desire that you have to bring our people from the East bring our people from the East and our people in the West together so that we can unite and understand that we are absolutely not divided. The only thing that's been dividing us is our thinking of ourselves. And bringing us together so that we can actually love each other the way God intends for us to love one another. Because like you said, the whole world of Islam has been whitewashed. It's been whitewashed. So may Allah grant you to do exactly what you set out to do. And just like everything else you set out to do and did it, if it be his will, he's going to let you do this too. And then you're going to come back and give the same speech. You're going to be like, Allah. So all praises to Allah. Thank you so, so much. And we will close out with the same C1, our teachings 2.0, our I'm sorry. Okay. Our teachings 2.0. I think we did green, so we're going to do blue, and our Holy Quran. Now, our Holy Quran is going to be a special one this Thursday, because a couple days ago, and I didn't want to mention it until I actually looked in the Quran to see if what I was guided to was I don't want to say correct, but if what I was believing I was guided to was actually me being guided to something. So really, really, really quick, because I know we're a little bit past time. I had a dream a couple of days ago, and the minister was on the master call. The 2 days before that, I was thinking, like, when the minister gonna come on the master call? Because we gave him our testimony and all this stuff, and he received it, and we didn't get back. He did love what we was doing, all the stuff like that, and he gave us, the minister gave us the greetings and everything because he knew exactly what he was doing. But we didn't hear back after this testimony that we gave, right? And the written, all the stuff, the video, all that stuff that we sent to him. And I was thinking, like, dang, it would be so bomb if the minister came on this call. So I just assumed that my dream was just a dream because I was thinking about the minister. But I came on the call, and I came on late for some reason. Brother Demetrius was hosting, and I came on late, and I'm like, the minister speaking? The heck is going on? Why did I not know about this? Apparently, Brother Demetrius invited the minister to speak on the call. And I looked at the participants, and the participants said 57 participants. And I'm like, in my head, why are there only 57 people in here? It's actually 57 people in here right now. So this is a great time for me to go into the 57 that I'm talking about. So all praise due to Allah. So as I'm listening, I'm trying to listen to the minister, but I was so stuck on the 57. And I couldn't hear what he was saying. It sounded very like, whoa, 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 whoa. It would sound like that. And I'm like, well, apparently when I woke up, I was like, apparently I'm not supposed to hear what he's saying because it's not for me. I'm supposed to be stuck on the 57 because that's the only thing I can remember when I woke up. So I'm going to read 2 days later, I didn't read it that exact day because I'm rebellious. 2 days later, I actually woke up for prayer, and after prayer, I always read, and I was reading a whole bunch of stuff, and then I was like, oh, 57. Went to 57, and I decided, usually I just read a section out of the Quran when I'm at the prayer, but this time I decided to just read the entire surah, and that's what we will be reading today. It's not very long at all. It's like 2 or 3 pages. So yeah, but we're gonna go into C1 first, like we always do. But I wanted to give everybody that backstory of why I'm about to read a whole surah of the Quran. And I read it, and I was like, this what the minister want us to know. So he ain't had to come. This right here, it was, y'all gonna see. Okay, so we're on the prize. APPRISE. APPRISE. A prize, which means to inform somebody of something. For example, we must apprise them of the dangers that may be involved. So then we're going to go to our blue book, the Teachings 2.0. You can also get this book on the store.funacall.com. These are compiled questions that the minister was asked on Twitter, and that he answered. Compiled by our beautiful brother. It says Brother Jesse on the book, but the minister renamed him. His name is Brother Kiam. Oh, this is so pretty. Okay, let's do this. Was it? Okay, I want to do this on the one that we opened up to. Let's listen to the God. Okay, the minister was asked, how do we know when to take action and when to be patient? We've read this one before. The minister responds, there are certain actions that belong to God and there are certain actions that belong to man. When God counsels us in patience, he is already working out the solution. If you take the wrong action, you could delay the successful outcome of what you seek. Patience is a virtue. We are not born with it. It is a virtue that we must learn to acquire. I'm literally going to read that one more time because that is amazing. How do we know when to take action and when to be patient? He answers, there are certain actions that belong to God, and there are certain actions that belong to man. When God counsels us in patience, he is already working out the solution. And if you take the wrong action, you could delay the successful outcome of what you seek. Patience is a virtue. We are not born with it. It is a virtue we must learn to acquire. Praise be to Allah. So now we will go into chapter 57, which is
They was asking what page that was in the Teachings 2.0 book. I tried to get you before you closed it.
It was page so now we're gonna go into Surah 57. I genuinely do not know. I closed it. I don't know. It was somewhere beyond the halfway mark. So like not the halfway mark, but like a little more beyond to the back of the book, the halfway mark. So I mean, you could just circle around that area. Dang, I feel so bad.
We'll get back to you.
We're gonna get back to it. We're gonna no, I'm sorry. Okay, I tried. All right, so Surah 57, which is Al-Hadid, iron. So Al-Hadid means iron. Okay. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. We're starting with section 1, establishment of the kingdom of God. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth declares the glory of Allah, and he is the mighty, the wise. He is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. He gives life and causes death, and he is possessor of power over all things. He is the first and the last, and the manifest and the hidden, and he is knower of all things. He it is who created the heavens and the earth in 6 periods, and he is established on the throne of power. He knows that which goes down into the earth and that which comes forth out of it, and that which comes down from heaven and that which goes up to it. And he is with you wherever you are, and Allah is seer of what you do. His is the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, and to Allah are all affairs returned. He causes the night to pass into the day and causes the day to pass into the night, and he is knower of what is in the hearts. Believe in Allah and his messenger, and spend of that whereof he has made you heirs. Heirs, heirs. So those of you who believe and spend, for them is a great reward. And what reason have you that you believe not in Allah? And the messenger invites you to believe in your Lord, and he is indeed accepted your covenant, and he has indeed accepted your covenant if you are believers. He it is who sends down clear messages to his servant, that he may bring you forth from darkness into light, and surely Allah is kind, merciful to you. And what reason have you that you spend not in Allah's way? and Allah's is the inheritance of the heavens and the earth. Those of you who spend before the victory and fought are not on a level with others. They are greater in rank than those who spent and fought afterwards. And Allah has promised good to all, and Allah is aware of what you do. What is he? This is section 2, light and life given by the prophet. Who is he that will offer to Allah a good gift, so he will double it for him, and he will have a generous reward? On that day, thou wilt see the faithful men and the faithful women like they're gleaming before them and on their right hand. Good news for you on this day. Gardens where in rivers, go back. Who is he that will offer to Allah a good gift, so he will double it for him, and he will have a generous reward? On that day, thou wilt see the faithful men and the faithful women, their light gleaming before them and on their right hand. Good news for you this day. Gardens wherein rivers flow to abide therein. This is the grand achievement. On the day when the hypocrites, men and women, will say to those who believe, wait for us, that we may borrow from your light. It will be said, turn back and seek a light. Then a wall with a door in it will be raised between them. Within it shall be mercy, and outside of it chastisement. They will cry out to them, were we not with you? They will say, yeah, but you caused yourselves to fall into temptation, and you waited, and you doubted, and vain desires deceived you, till the threatened punishment of Allah came, and the arch deceiver deceived you about Allah. So this day no ransom will be accepted from you, nor from those who disbelieved. Your abode is the fire. It is your patron, and evil is the resort. Has not the time yet for the believers that their hearts should, is that a question? No, it's not. Let me read it over. Has not the time yet come for the believers that their hearts should be humble for the remembrance of Allah and the truth that is revealed, and that they should not be like those who were given the book before, but time was prolonged for them, so their hearts hardened, and most of them are transgressors. I want to read that over because that was very significant. Has not the time come yet for the believers that their hearts should be humble for the remembrance of Allah and the truth that is revealed, and that they should not be like those who were given the book before, but the time was prolonged for them, so their hearts hardened, and most of them are transgressors. Know that Allah gives life to the earth after its death. Indeed, we have made the signs clear for you that you may understand. The men who give in charity and the women who give in charity and set apart from Allah a goodly portion, it will be doubled for them, and theirs is a generous reward. And those who believe in Allah and his messengers, they are the truthful and the faithful ones with their Lord. And they are the truthful and faithful ones with their Lord. They have their reward and their light. And those who disbelieve and reject our messages, they are the inmates of hell. Section 3, and I believe this is the last section, second to last section. Truth shall be established. Know that this world's life is only sport and play, and gaiety, G-A-I-E-T-Y, sport and gaiety, thank you. Know that this world's life is only sport and play and gaiety, and boasting among yourselves and vying in the multiplication of wealth and children. It is as rain, whose causing the vegetation to grow pleases the husbandman, then it withers away so that thou see it turning yellow. Then it becomes chaff. And in the hereafter is a severe chastisement and also forgiveness from Allah and his pleasure. And this world's life is not but a source of vanity. Vie one with another for forgiveness from your Lord, and a garden, the extensiveness of which is as the extensiveness of the heaven and the earth. It is prepared for those who believe in Allah and his messengers. That is the grace of Allah. He gives to whom he pleases, and Allah is the Lord of the mighty grace. No disaster befalls in the earth or in yourselves, but it is in a book before we bring it into existence. Surely that is easy for Allah, so that you grieve not for what you have for what has so that you grieve not for what has escaped you, nor exult in that which he has given you. And Allah loves not an arrogant boaster, such as are niggardly and enjoin niggardliness on men. And whoever turns back, then surely Allah is self-sufficient, the praised. Certainly we sent our messengers with clear arguments and sent down with them the book and the measure, that men may conduct themselves with equity. And we sent down iron, wherein is great violence and advantages to men, and that Allah may know who helps him and his messengers unseen. Surely Allah is strong, mighty. Last section, section 4, double rewards for the believers, double rewards for believers. And certainly we sent Noah and Abraham, and we gave prophethood in the book to their offspring. So among them is he who gives a right, but most of them are transgressors. Then we made our messengers to follow in their footsteps, and we made Jesus, son of Mary, to follow, and we gave him the gospel. And we put compassion and mercy in the hearts of those who followed him. And as for monkery, Monkery, and as for monkery, they innovated it. We did not prescribe it to them, only to seek Allah's pleasure. But they did not deserve it with its due observance. So we gave those of them who believed their reward, but most of them are transgressors. O you who believe, keep your duty to Allah and believe in his messenger. He will give you 2 portions of his mercy and give you a light, in which you shall walk, and forgive you, and Allah is forgiving, merciful. That the people of the book may know that they control not of the grace of Allah, and that grace is in Allah's hands. He gives it to whom he pleases, and Allah is the Lord of mighty grace. And that is the end of chapter 57. Wanted to get that to y'all, because apparently it needs to have been given to all of us. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Hold fast, believers. Hold fast. It's at a part in that surah that they were given the book, or they were given the truth, and they turned back because the time was prolonged. We ran out of patience with Allah because we had in our mind what we thought this cycle of time was supposed to look like. The time was prolonged. Allah was putting on this, hold fast, because I got a plan, and I know you playing, y'all playing, but I'm the best of players, okay? And I'm pushing y'all, I'm pushing the patience button to see who really wants to survive. The minister said in, this is the Great War again. I'm gonna keep bringing that lecture up because it's absolutely amazing. Savior's Day 2010, part 2, the Great War. He talked about the war of Armageddon. When the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad put the flag of Islam up and the American flag up. And this was back in, I want to say, I'm not going to quote it. It was back when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was amongst us. He put it up on the screen and it said, who will survive the war of Armageddon between Islam and America? And the minister raised it, and he made us hone deeper into the word survive. He said, notice that it says survive and not win. This is not a battle to win. It's who gonna be here. He said, this is about who is going to be here in the end. We are taught that our righteousness will sustain us. Sustain means to, and I actually have looked it up because I wanted to clear the word, like Sister Shayla always teaches us to do, to clear words. Sustain means to strengthen or support physically or mentally. War has already started. War has absolutely already started. Minister David said the best thing we could do in this time is pray for our minds, to be able to keep our minds. Because in that day, because it's already in the book, so we know we already dealing with it. The time that we're living in now, it's the time where people are running out of patience. We in third quarter, exactly. We might be in fourth quarter and not even know it. It's a time that we are dealing with running out of patience because we want something else. We want something else. We see this world going out, and it's like, well, when is it gonna go out? Keep saying that it's gonna go out. You keep saying that it's almost that it's over. That the white man's is over. You keep saying, and I was like, okay. So you gonna push the button, or I don't want to push the button because I'm in control of all this stuff. So I'm in control of everything. So it's a time of the separation of the wheat and the tare. Who is going to be able to survive this war that we are in? So like we are taught to seek assistance through patience and prayer. We just read it in the Twitter book. When it's time to be patient, he told us, don't make no moves. Some things is God's. That's God's decision. Some things is what men do. Some things is what God do. This is like what God do. We learned this pandemic. This is all about what God do. This is all about what God do. And we just got to sit back and remain striving to be servants of Allah and strive for our righteousness to sustain us. So we don't make no mistakes trying to go ahead of God, go ahead of Allah. And then we wind up being like what it says in the book. The people are like, well, was I not with you? Nah. Was I not with you? How I'm hearing you there? Look, I was not. I try to remain patient. I ain't got nothing to do with that. So, if you would like to read it over, that is chapter 57. I suggest everybody go read it back because even as I read it the second time, it was so much more stuff that I didn't know that I read the first time. Read it over and over again, and like always, once you get to 57, just finish the rest of the Holy Quran and call it a day. So I leave you as I came before you in the green words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
May Allah continue to bless you all, and let us close out in the Muslim closing prayer as a family that prays together, stays together, and wherever three or more are gathered in His name, there He is also. So God is in the room. Brother Demetrius is going to pray, and Allah is going to guide him. Thank you.
It says 2 or more, right?
2 more. Yeah, those some more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, God is the third. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it don't take 3 for God to show up. It takes 2. I hear somebody's phone is
Yeah, we got it.
All right, praise Allah. All right, thank you, Sister Jardea. All right, let's do it.
Lord, I'm full.
That was a great class, wasn't it? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Attention prayer, family. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Master of this day of judgment in which we now live, Thee alone do we worship, and in Thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after they have heard Thy teachings. We thank You so much, Allah, for Your mercy, Your grace, and Your love upon us, gifting us with Your guidance and the light of understanding as we receive Your guidance. And we pray, Allah, that in this time You continue to unify us and keep us away from that which is not of Thee. And we pray, Allah, that not only our sister Zewdy, but that You guide all of our brothers and sisters who are striving to unite our people far and wide across this world, that You make us successful, for we trust and believe in You for all that we need. Thank You, Allah, for this beautiful day that You have gifted us to continue to learn. Ameen.
Ameen. Wait, real quick. I missed this part of as you were praying, I realized I missed this part of the dream, which gives much more relevance to what we just read in the Quran. In the dream, he was closing out. And all I could remember, I couldn't necessarily hear it, but I could remember that was what he was saying, even though I couldn't hear it. And he was saying, stay strong, Muslims. And that's when he hung up. So that goes straight to what we was reading in the book. Stay strong. Just stay strong. So my assumption is that he was he didn't have to come here to the master call for us to get what he wanted to tell us. He wanted to tell us Surah 57, so I encourage us to continue to read it over and over again and get more of it. And may Allah continue to bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Salam.
Stay strong.
Well,